Well, at NAB this year, we've obviously made a couple of big announcements around our cameras. The first one being is the Blackmagic Ursa, which is a full-sized Ultra HD camera with upgradable lens mount and 3 distinctive monitors on there so that you can work within a collaborative environment with multiple people. I think the first thing that you notice with this camera is it looks much larger than our Blackmagic cinema cameras, but there is additional features on there like professional XLR connections, there is audio monitoring meters on there, there is the ability to currently capture 60 frames per second, both in lossless cinema DNG and in ProRes HQ. But the body of the camera is actually capable of doing 120 frames per second. So in later date, when the sensors become more readily available, we can actually upgrade the sensor in this body. The front of the camera actually has 2 lens mounts currently, a PL and an EF. The EF mount is $5,995. The PL is $6,495. And if you bought the EF today and you wanted to upgrade that to the PL, you just undo 4 screws at the front of the camera, you take out the turret which includes the sensor, and then you actually replace that then with the PL. On the inside of the camera, you'll notice a large 10-inch monitor. Now what that means is that when your DOP is working with his talent and he's acquiring his footage, what he's able to do is he's able to see much more without having his head down, without having him looking at an off-site monitor. And then the other monitors can be operated by other people. So you could have one guy who's watching the media so that we're making sure that the media is not growing and filling up the card, or we can have him checking the audio to ensure that he's got the audio meters are running under the levels that they need to be. So we're expecting that the Ursa camera will hopefully be shipping around July time. We're pretty confident in terms of parts that we're seeing coming in that we can complete it by then. Obviously at this moment in time we don't know of the demand of the camera, but what we're saying is that fingers crossed, all being well, we should hopefully be shipping towards the end of July. In addition to the Ursa, we've also announced the studio camera. The studio camera is a live camera meant to work in a live studio environment. This is a camera that doesn't have a record function built in, but has a SDI and optical fiber output, so that you can actually send that back to a vision mixer like an A10 production switcher 4K. It also has on there as well a 10-inch screen, which means that again you're able to really get involved in what it is that you're filming. It has a micro 4/3 mount on there as well, so those people who are familiar with the Pocket Cinema camera will be aware of the choices that are available to you. The HD version has a micro 4/3 sensor. The Ultra HD version has a 1-inch sensor. And built into this camera is also a camera converter, so that you can actually use that for talkback, you can use that for tally, you can also see a program feed coming from your switcher back to the camera, so that you can actually see the master output. But also with the new ATEM software, you can actually control the iris, the black levels, the exposure, and also the color. You can also do color correction directly on the camera unit via a CCD control within the ATEM software. That camera ranges from $1,995 for the HD to $2,995 for the Ultra HD. The HD version is actually shipping now. Sure, there's many new things happening here at Blackmagic at NAB. We've got obviously a large emphasis around 6 gig SDI, so we have a new ATEM 2ME 4K, which has obviously got 20 6 gig SDI inputs. We've also got a new Terranex, which is an up-down converter, which converts everything from SD all the way up to Ultra HD. We have a new Sintel scanner. Everyone's been asking us about Sintel. What we've done is for $30,000 you now have a scanner which is around about 8 inches thick, that can hang on your wall, capture over Thunderbolt 2, real-time 16, Super 16, 35 and Super 35mm film. And then probably one of the biggest announcements we've made this year as well is the additional features within Resolve. Resolve is evolving every year. This year there are 70 new features there for editors, another 70 features there in color correction. We've now got collaborative workflow within Resolve where you're able to actually have multiple colorists and an editor working within the same sequence, so that you can actually work on different parts of the project, and then a master administrator can decide whether or not to accept or reject those changes. We've got things like some simple alterations there for raw files, so that when you bring raw files in, you can do very quick exposure, recovery, sharpness tools. So this show has been a very exciting one for us in terms of new products. Any information that you're looking for can be found at blackmagicdesign.com, where we've got all those new products there, along with many videos as well around the new Resolve product. Well, I think that Ultra HD is obviously a large buzzword both for this NAB and the year before. I think there are lots of discussion around the delivery of that, the delivery of it over long distance. Broadcasters are obviously engaged with Ultra HD, and we believe that we have to build an infrastructure, a series of products that can really meet the demands from lens all the way through to delivery. So you'll see from us that there's a large emphasis around 6 gig SDI, which is the delivery of Ultra HD across a single cable. But we've also as well talking about 12 gig SDI, which is something that maybe people are not too familiar with at the moment. But what that addresses is Ultra HD with higher frame rates. So for us, Ultra HD is the topic that everybody's interested in. Hopefully Blackmagic is able to address some of those issues in terms of switching, acquisition, and the delivery of Ultra HD, both in a broadcast environment and in live workflows as well.